All right, well, we're going to go ahead and get started. A quick introduction. My name is Aviva. I'm the Client Services Manager here with AXUS Travel App, and I'll be taking you through a quick demo today, showing you step-by-step and everything else you need to know to utilize AXUSTravelApp.com. Now, a quick just reminder, if we have anybody new who is not yet logged in, I'm going to log out of my name here. The landing page of AXUSTravelApp.com. This is where you would go to sign up. We offer a 14-day free trial, or of course, log into your account. One thing to keep in mind, this website, AXUSTravelApp.com, this is simply for the agent perspective. Your client would never be signing up or creating an account for themselves via the website. We'll go through that client perspective of the itinerary a little bit later, but just a quick reminder, this website, it is for you guys and you guys only. I'm going to go ahead and select login if I have an existing account, put in my email and password and log in. Now, the first page that you're brought to is your main itineraries page. And as you begin building itineraries and adding information into AXUS, you'll start to see that this list gets longer and longer. So if you're looking at your AXUS account and you're not seeing these rectangular shapes, i.e. your itineraries, it just means you haven't yet built any itineraries or trips. So it's looking a little bit more bare than what you see on my screen. Once you have started to build various itineraries, you'll see up here you have several ways to filter the information. By default, we're going to show a 6-month out filter. So you can see here with the dates, I have everything from today's date and 6 months out. Now, if I want to adjust that date range, I can easily do so by selecting that information, start and end time frame, and then apply filter. I also have the ability to filter based on months. So if I select here, I chose a 3-month duration, so that's going to show everything 3 months out. And then you'll also notice that when I choose a monthly duration, it kind of oranges out or whites out the ability to search by a date. So you're going to have either or as an option in terms of either filtering by a date range or a monthly range. Now, you also have some wonderful filters to show a status of an itinerary, whether that be an unpublished, meaning you have not yet sent the information via the mobile app off to your clients, or a published status, which is what happens when you are ready to send the information off to your client. And we'll talk about both of those statuses as we go, but just so you know, you can use the dates or months and then also go one step further to show published or unpublished. You also have the ability to hold a filter. Let's say I'm working on a group trip that is happening in X time frame in the future. Maybe I want to choose a start or end time frame and hold filter. By checking off that box, this filter would then be remembered inside of your AXUS account, whether you go to a different page, you log in, log out, whatever it might be, it will keep that criteria in check for you the next time you come. We also have the ability to look at those that are traveling now. Current will bring us right back to our upcoming trips. And then archived is a button that you can utilize to access any of your past itineraries. Once that return date has crossed, all trips would be moved under your archive section. And this is just to be sure that your main itineraries page displays all upcoming and relevant in the moment itineraries, or as I said, traveling now or upcoming. So making sure you're always viewing the most updated and organized perspective. When it comes to creating a new itinerary, we have several options. I'm going to actually first get rid of my filter here. And there's 2 ways that we can begin a new itinerary in AXUS. The first is by utilizing our import button, which we'll talk about. This is a way to pull in external data, whether that be reservations that were booked with a vendor like Classic Vacations, or if you were sent an email confirmation from United Airlines, how to forward that confirmation into your AXUS account. And as I said, we'll hop onto that button and talk about it in just a sec. And then we also have a new button, which gives us kind of the basic blueprints of starting an itinerary a bit more manually on our own. And we'll use that as our example today. To show you what's behind this import button when we select it, as I mentioned, the first option we have to import is under the Assign tab. Here, similar to what I just said, we can forward vendor confirmations to what's called your Bookings Plus email. This is going to be unique for every individual, so go ahead and select Import to see what your full Bookings Plus email address is. And as I mentioned, this is an email address where I just want to take a United Air confirmation that was sent to my inbox and forward it to my Bookings Plus email. So all I'm doing is taking the confirmation that I received and forwarding it into AXUS. Within about 7 minutes, you'll start to see the different legs of, and then from here, we can go ahead and simply check off any of the segments, give it an itinerary name or title, and then assign selected bookings. And that's going to take all the individual parts of that confirmation and create an itinerary for you. The next tab we have is the Import tab. As I mentioned, whether we are trying to pull through a booking ID from Classic Vacations, if you click on this list here, you're going to have a drop down and you can see the different vendors where we have a back-end integration set up. So for example, here's Pleasant Holidays. Some of these vendors will ask you to connect with your credentials, which will grant us access in terms of pulling through your booking details. So if you see that it's asking you to first connect or enter in your vendor credentials, these are the credentials that relate to your login with that vendor. And I can always save the credentials so I don't have to do it each and every time, and then enter my booking ID and import into AXUS. So this is a really nice way to import if you're working with any of our vendors listed here, assign, sending in vendor confirmations to your Bookings Plus email, and then allowing AXUS to build and generate that itinerary for you. Now, another option that we have, and I highly recommend that once you get into your AXUS account, you have a look at our Collaborator feature. And it's going to be right below the title where it says Invite Colleague, DMC, or Tour Operator. This allows you to collaborate with other travel professionals and organizations directly within AXUS. So let's say, for example, you are working with a particular vendor and you are now in the proposal and kind of the research phase, or talking about the different possibilities, or maybe you've just started to book with them. What you can do is you can click Invite Colleague, DMC, or Tour Operator, and then search by their name, company, or email. This allows me to now add the contact or the individual that I am working with and give them access into my itinerary. They are then able to add their components, their items that they've booked on their end, and I can now add my items all into the same shared itinerary. Vice versa, you might notice that you're invited to collaborate. Some of our vendors will begin that quote or itinerary on their end and send you an invite. So feel free to communicate with those that you are working with. Check to see if they're an AXUS user. We also have a list up here at the top that show a handful of these organizations, and we're constantly updating this list. So here you can see who is an AXUS user. And if you're working with them, let them know that vice versa, you are also working with AXUS, and then the two of you can collaborate directly inside of the platform. Feel free to check this section out a bit more. If you have any questions, you can always email us, and we're happy to provide more information. Now, let's go ahead. We're going to get started creating a new itinerary, and I'm going to do this one from the get-go of just adding the general details on my own. I'm going to select New. And as I said, this is more of a manual approach where we're going to go ahead and start to add the general information on our itinerary. So let's go ahead. We'll give it an itinerary name. Customize who the itinerary is for. This is more of a reference field, whether that be your client's first names, John, Bernice, and Sam, or if you wanted to put if you have a doctor in the group, Dr. and Mr. Smith, this is your completely free flow text that you can customize as you please. So I'm going to, for this example, we'll use first names, John, Mary, and Molly. I'm going to give it a start and an end date. And I'm also going to select an itinerary level image. We have 3 options when we're adding a direct image. We can upload an image, whether you have your own personal images, images you've taken from past trips of yours. Feel free to upload that into your itinerary. Enter an image URL if you're working with, let's say, Google Images, or you have an image URL link. You can copy and paste that into AXUS as well. And then finally, we have the search image library. And this is a library that we pulled directly from a company called Pixabay. These are all labeled for reuse. These are copyright-free images. And the search term is going to be based on a destination. So let's go ahead. We'll type in London. And it's going to work best when you enter a singular destination. So for example, London. Or if we wanted a more general perspective, I could do England. But for example, if I had to do Chicago, I don't need to put Chicago, Illinois. I would just put Chicago. Here you will then have a handful of different thumbnails to choose from at the bottom. Simply click the thumbnail to open it in a larger perspective. And then once you've found the image you'd like to use, select and crop. This will also show you the image dimensions of how that photo will appear on the client perspective. As you can see here, the images, or I should say the dimension itself, is more of a rectangular and horizontal format or shape. I always say when choosing images, try to find at least a 2-to-1 ratio. But of course, if you do choose a more square-like image, you have a bit of customization in terms of zooming in or zooming out, and then also rearranging by dragging and dropping. So you can recenter it or refocus that image, even if you choose more of a square type. But we do always recommend at least a 2-to-1 ratio when adding images or selecting your image. Now that we've added the general information, I'm going to save the itinerary and it's going to be added to my itineraries list. When you're ready to begin working on an itinerary and you want to open it to the full capacity, select the title. So I'm going to select London Weekend for Smith. And here you'll start to see that if I scroll down, I now have a bookings section. And everything from my trip start date to the end date is listed. So we show all of the dates on your perspective, as this is a nice way to ensure that if you've booked something for every day of the trip, you can easily see if something has been forgotten or you haven't added that. We also show here that you have a pre-travel and a post-travel section. Therefore, if you wanted to add items like a quick welcome message or a packing checklist, maybe for post-travel we had a post-trip survey, statements, or individual items that do not require an actual date or are not associated to a date, we can either add under pre-travel or post-travel. Pre-travel, of course, will show up at the top of your itinerary. Post-travel will show up at the bottom. Now let's start to go through and we'll add some items together. I'm going to select the plus new booking icon to the right of May 1st. That will indicate that I want to add a new booking on May 1st. And as soon as we select to add a new booking, we're giving 8 different booking categories. I'm going to begin with air, and we'll kind of work our way down. With air, you have a nice and easy way to pull in flight information. Under the flight segment section, you'll see you have 3 asterisk fields: airline, flight number, and then the departure date, which has been selected as that was the date we chose to add the item. When I've entered those 3 fields, I will select Get Flight Details. This is going to auto-generate and pull through the general flight information. All that's then left for you are the client-specific details. If we scroll back up, we have our record locator. So if that is available, I'm going to enter in a record locator. You also have a section to add a contact phone number of the airline or a check-in URL. Feel free to add that at your leisure. And below, we have a passengers section. So here we can go ahead and begin typing in our passenger names, seat, class, frequent flyer, ticket number, whatever details are relevant. You have the ability to add multiple passengers or also add a segment as well. And then once complete, click Save. And you'll see that it's automatically added that flight onto our May 1st date header. And because it is a flight that arrives a day after it's departed, it will show that +1 indicator as well. And we'll just continue to work through. I'm going to go now to May 2nd, plus new booking. Let's go to hotel. And when we start to add information, one of the items you're going to notice next to your header field or your title field for a handful of these bookings is you'll see a magnifying glass. And anytime you see this magnifying glass, it is an indicator that this is a field where we are pulling through either external information. So for our hotel, we're pulling through consortia, preferred hotel details if you're with Signature or Virtuoso. We're also pulling through from Sabre, so we have Sabre hotel profiles. And then we also look it up based on a library option, which we'll talk about in this example, an item that you've used in the past and elected to copy it to your library. Again, we'll discuss that as we go. So for accommodation name, I'm going to begin typing, let's do Four Seasons London. And as I start to type it, you'll see that the drop-down gives you different options of how you can pull in the general details. Now, we have, as I mentioned, consortia. I'm currently listed under Virtuoso, but if I was a a Signature member, then we would pull through the Signature preferred hotels. If this was an item that we've saved to our the copy to library checkbox at the top allows us to make a general template copy of this hotel. And then the next time we come to use it, we have that option ready. So for this example, let's choose, we'll grab one from Virtuoso. And this is going to pull through the general information. Here we have our, again, thumbnails at the bottom. I can select an image, select and crop, recenter. And the consortia details that pull through will range from general information like an address, property description, check-in, and a checkout time. And then below, you are also given the ability to add a cancellation policy or add the preferred amenities just by clicking on that button. Now, again, all that's left for us to do, traveler-specific details. I'm going to select my checkout date, and let's add some room information. If I have a confirmation number, I can enter it at this time. If I want to include a nightly room rate, currency, a room description, again, those fields are here. Feel free to add as you please. Whatever you fill in is what will display on the client perspective. If I do not want to add a nightly room rate, I simply leave it blank, and that does not appear on the client side. So we're going to go ahead, and now that we've added all that information, again, if it's an item that we want to save the general details for our library, I'm going to select Copy to Library. And then, as we saw, this allows the next time you look up that accommodation name, a library drop-down will appear as well. And your library, this is shared with anyone in your organization. If you head to your Advisors tab, let me save this as I continue. If you head to your Advisors tab at the top, this will list all the others that are part of your organization's account. You also have a library tab up here, which houses all of the different itinerary templates and booking templates that you can create. Now let's continue to go through. I'm going to keep working on May 2nd. If we want to add a new booking to a date that already has another booking listed, we're going to come to our 3 dots icon, and this allows us to insert a booking above or below the current one. We're going to select below, and let's head on over to concierge. Concierge is your go-to for your restaurants, your museums. Maybe they're doing a round of golf at a local country club. I always say this, and I know it sounds a little cheesy, but concierge is for anything you'd ask the hotel concierge for, a landmark, any specific place. I could even look up a gas station, and I'll show you why we talk about these landmarks or these places. We see that magnifying glass has appeared next to our service provider, and when I start typing in, let's see, I've got a restaurant. We're going to hop on over to New York. And as I begin to type the restaurant, sometimes it helps to put in a city or a location as well to really zero in. You'll notice that now my drop-down is showing a powered by Google result. So these are simply like doing a Google search. If it hasn't yet been added into Access, you can always use the drop-down and choose from Google. Google will give you the general information. So again, we have images that we can utilize here. I can select and crop again as I please. And then moving on down, I have address, phone, and website has been filled in for me. So I take about the next 5 seconds and we'll add in our client-specific information. I'll put service type dinner. And again, choose which fields are necessary for your clients. If I don't have a cancellation policy, it's not relevant, I leave it off. A nice part about this concierge booking is you're given a description field. This is a great field if you had a general summary of the restaurant, you wanted to link in a menu, general information about that service provider. And once again, if this is a restaurant or this is a place that you use often or it's your go-to restaurant in a particular destination, copy the library. The next time you look it up, it will appear for you in the drop-down with the general details that you've established, the photo, address, phone, and website, and that description field will pull through as well. So just a quick and easy way to not have to recreate the wheel each time and have that template ready to go the next time you want to use that service provider, okay? We'll save it into our itinerary. Now, as you saw from here, you can continue using either the plus new booking or the 3 dots icon to add the different types of categories you see here: transportation, insurance, cruise, for example. The last one I want to show, just as we continue on, is our other/notes. And this is a really great booking for your miscellaneous. This is great to put in any statements or reminders or anything. I'll show you the fields that are included We keep it pretty generic, so you can make it whatever you choose. A title field, address from the website, time, and notes are all the client-facing fields. Just as we saw with concierge and accommodation or hotel, we have that magnifying glass next to our title. I'm going to start to search. I know I've got a passport validity reminder that's been saved to my organization's library. So I've elected it. Maybe it was yesterday, maybe it was a month ago, maybe it was created by somebody else in my organization that we're using the same general template, whatever that might be. It pops up first under my organization library results. I also have historical matches, which are just recently used or last used bookings that have keywords or that title saved. I'm going to select from the libraries. I know that's the one I've chosen to recall time and time again. And this one I kept it really simple. Title and notes. This was, we talked about before, having a quick statement or reminder that you want to add into the itinerary. This is quite an important one. And what you can do, why I love the other /notes booking so much, is it gives you a priority field. Now, if you're entering information that is of high priority, you do not want your clients to miss it on their perspective, switch that priority level to high. When we get to the client perspective, I'll point out how we can now emphasize this particular information on the client perspective. For this booking, I don't have any client-specific details, no time, no phone number. It's just a statement of information. But what I do want is I want to change the date. This could be obviously on a date. If they're traveling internationally, you could choose to put it on the date before they leave. However, something as important as a passport reminder rule that we see here, that might be something I want to put under pre-travel, as it is something that we would like for them to take into note before they leave for their trip, and hopefully many, many months before that. So all I'm doing is adjusting the day field. You can always choose a different date, even if you've selected to add a booking under a different date, and then we will save. And you'll see up at the top under pre-travel, the date we selected, I have my passport reminder right there. So let's continue on, and we're going to head on down to our icon dashboard here at the bottom. This is where we can navigate through the different sections. Itinerary shows you a preview of the image you've selected, your logo, which we're going to actually talk about that as well, the contact information on the web and the PDF, along with some other itinerary-specific details. Bookings is the view we were just recently at, all your individual bookings. Documents will be any additional items, supporting documents you want connected to this itinerary. This could be anything from a hotel voucher. This could be perhaps where you put a packing list or your own destination information, anything specific. Maybe this is a digital scan of something you've given them as a physical copy, but it's always smart to do a nice digital copy of it as well. We're going to select upload, which just as if we were adding an attachment, I'm going to look up, I've got a packing list here. I select from my computer and I open it into AXUS. You'll see right below the upload button, we show the different file formats that you can upload: PDF, JPEG, PNG, and GIF files. Each one, you'll want to make sure it's less than 10 megabytes per upload, which is still quite a hefty file size that you can add per item. Now, moving on from our documents, we'll head on over to guides. Guides are pulled from Travel 42 directly. We pull in a nice mobile perspective of the guide. This is going to give your clients straight on the mobile app an easy to navigate, more summarized version of the Travel 42 guide. And as I say, the format that we pull through is built for the mobile app, and we wanted to make it as easy to read and efficient for your clients as possible on their mobile app. Very simple process here. We select import. And this is going to be a little bit different based on your consortia. So I'm going to explain both. If you are with Signature, Signature agents will have this traveler field at the top. Go ahead and enter any one of your traveler names and emails here. Let's see, for the moment, I'm going to add my own name. We just need a name and an email, and this is how we authenticate the guides. It does not mean that only that traveler receives the guide information. It's just how we can then move forward to the next step. Otherwise, if you are not with Signature, everybody else will have this destination field. And here you can begin typing in your destination or destinations and add the information to your itinerary. Select Submit to add. Now, finally, moving on, our last one that we will talk about before heading to the traveler perspective is our messages section. This is where you can communicate freely with your clients via their mobile app. Once they've downloaded the app, they will receive any messages that you have sent them here. This section will also keep a log of all historical messages that have been sent back and forth between you, the client, or within the app. And this is where any flight notifications that are sent to the mobile app will be stored for you as well. Now, before we finish up and send this to our clients, to the right of the other icons we've been looking at, we have our traveler-facing perspective. We have the web view and the printable version, i.e. your PDF. Let's hop on over to the web view. And here, we can start to preview the itinerary information. We have that itinerary level photo we've added, who the itinerary is for, which we customize to our traveler first names, John, Mary, and Molly, a nice summary of events and a table of contents, and the day-to-day information, starting with that high priority passport reminder that we added. So you can see here, we've got a gray backdrop with our accent color to the left. And this is going to further emphasize that information compared to the day-to-day white background that you have for the additional bookings added. And you can see how everything has been formatted. Passenger names are all within one specific area, seat assignments, all that general information, all that client-specific information is exactly where it needs to be. Now, before we publish, there's one really important item that we want to be sure to do, and that is to get rid of this AXUS branding. We want to be sure that the branding in the top left corner is yours or your organization. We're going to go back into our AXUS account, the editing perspective, and to change the logo. So if you're seeing AXUS in the top left corner, hover over your name, select Profile, and then scroll down to the bottom where you see Logo. All we need to do is choose a logo from our computer and open. Now, this logo is going to be at the organization level. Therefore, if you see your organization's logo here, it means it's already been added. The AXUS logo means that the branding has not yet been set. So if you need to change it, again, you can come to this section here. If I have any ICs or anybody that should be under their own branded account, instead of going to change the logo, which, as I said, it's tied to the organization, simply reach out to us and let us know that you would like to be under your own branded account instead of within your host agency or within an organization. We're happy to help. The other item I want to do is select an accent color. If you have your own specific accent color, you can select, or I should say, enter in a hex number after the pound sign, or you can select the square to the left and choose from the color options available. Once complete, click Save. And then you'll see when we go back to that itineraries page, how the accent color has been adjusted, the logo's been adjusted. If we go back to that online web view and refresh, boom, there's our branding, there's the logo we've added and that accent color. So before you publish, make sure your branding has been added. We want to be sure that when the client is viewing the itinerary on their perspective, all branding comes back to you. Now it's time to send this off to our client. So I'm going to go back down. I think this was actually in, let's find it here. There we go. I'm going to go back into the itinerary and I'm going to add my traveler profiles. Now it's important to add the traveler profiles if you want to send them an itinerary invite, introducing the mobile app and getting them started with those next steps to view on their phone. Simply select Add Travelers. Under Assign, you can search to see if a traveler already exists. So if I type in a name, I can see the name with an email. That means we already have a traveler profile created for them, and I simply want to add that existing profile. Otherwise, if I go back to Add Travelers and I type in, let's see, John Smith, if it says no results found, you can then go ahead and create a traveler profile for that individual. First name, last name, and email address. The phone number field is for your reference only. We personally don't do anything with the phone number field. Traveler CRM is relevant for anybody working with our API. If you're not working with our API, you can disregard that field or just use it as a free flow text field. I'm going to save and add that traveler to the itinerary. One thing I want to show you, once you've created that traveler profile, if you click on the name, it will open up their information. You also have a spot to add internal notes about the traveler, whether that be date of birth, preferences, likes, dislikes, maybe a frequent flyer number. And as it mentions here, the information you enter is not visible on the traveler perspective, simply for your reference inside of AXUS. Now, once we're ready to send off the information, I'm going to come up to the top where we show unpublished. All your itineraries will begin as an unpublished, i.e. it has not yet been sent or it does not display on the client's iPhone or Android if they've already downloaded the mobile app, and we want to publish. As soon as we publish an itinerary, that triggers an automatic email to be sent to each of our traveler profiles that have an email address entered. So you just want to be sure to fill out that email address in case they would receive that specific email. Now I'm going to go ahead and have that load, and then we'll go ahead here and grab that sample email. Now this is going to be, in the next 5 minutes, we'll take a look at the client perspective. So this is what the client will see from their end. It's going to be customized. So download, and then of course your agency name will appear at the top. Your name, agency name again, and your logo will appear at the bottom. The email is also going to be customized to the client. So we have the client name, the title of their trip. We have the app credentials that when they download the mobile app, they will be prompted to enter in a user ID and passcode. These credentials are unique to the client. John's user ID and passcode are going to be different than his wife and his daughter. So he wants to be sure he enters in his user ID and passcode. The great thing about it, if your clients ever come to you and say, I'm not going to be able to remember that passcode or that user ID, they only have to enter it that very first time into the mobile app. There's no need every time you send them a new itinerary or there's an update for them to re-enter it. The app will simply open up and take them to where they need to be. Now, one other quick item to mention, if your organization is using a white labeled app, the branding of what app they need to download will be listed as well. For example, we have Signature members who are using Pocket Travel Consultant app. The same mechanics on the inside, just a different branding on the outside. So we already have that set up for everybody's account, which app they would download. In this email, the client has a direct access to preview the itinerary on the web. If they click that link, it pulls them right back to that online web view we looked at earlier. So you have the ability to access that web view. They have the ability to access the web view straight from that email. If they want to open up, print, download the documents, they have a Documents tab here. Simply click on the document to open and print. They also have the ability to print the itinerary by generating a PDF, and then that will generate a nice digital version for them here. So here we have our PDF. If we want to go ahead and download or print, we have that in the upper right-hand corner. Otherwise, a nice shortcut is a right click for us to save or print directly. Finally, I will show you now in our support library. We have a really great step-by-step guide. This also includes more information about the mobile app. If you haven't had a look at the mobile app before, this is a great article that I'll show you, or actually I should say a video that gives a nice little demo of what to expect on the mobile app. One thing to note about the mobile app, if you want to download the app on your phone and add itineraries to it, you will need to add yourself as a traveler here. This is the only way to get an itinerary onto your mobile app. I'll show you as well in our support section where you can find more information on this process. Let's go ahead and click Support, which will bring you to the back end of AXUS. We have a handful of information, including our advanced and basic training section, traveler videos that you can always send to your traveler, and then, of course, our support library. Within the support library, under Getting Started, as I mentioned, we've got a wonderful step-by-step guide. I'm going to go ahead and actually send this in our chat section. So if you'd like to have a direct link to it, I'll send it under chat. And this goes over a lot of what we talked about today, starting with setting up your branding, logo, accent, color, working with the different options of adding booking information, as we talked about the vendor confirmations, direct imports. And then as mentioned, step number 7 talks about the mobile perspective from the traveler view. If you click on the link below, this will show, I think it's about 3.5 minutes of how to navigate through the mobile app, starting with downloading the app, entering in the app credentials, and so forth. This is a wonderful video, A, for you to utilize if you haven't yet checked out the mobile app, and B, if you are working with clients that maybe are not as app or tech savvy, this is a great short video that you can send them in terms of expectations for the mobile app. Otherwise, if you have questions moving forward, you can always email us at support@axustravelapp.com. I'll put that in the chat, support@axustravelapp.com, and that's AXUS travelapp.com. You can also select help here at the bottom left-hand corner. And as I said, feel free to always utilize this support section here in the library. Lots of great articles and videos based on topics. We talked about how to add itineraries to your own mobile app. That is the first article below Profile and Advisors. So feel free to take a look at that. Otherwise, I thank you so much for joining today. And if you have any further questions, feel free to email us, and have a wonderful rest of your day. Take care.